with numerous high-profile cases on their desks, the NPA and the SIU have received the lion's share of the Justice Department's latest budget. Minister Ronald Lamola delivered that budget vote in Parliament yesterday. Almost 5 billion rand has been allocated to the NPA, while the SIU gets 452 million rand. But the DA says this is simply not enough. Let's get you more reaction from the parties. MP Advocate Glynnis Breytenbach, who joins us now via our video link. It's great to have you on the program, Glynnis. Thanks very much indeed for making time. The NPA is actually getting an increase, we are told, of just over 370 million rand. You say it's still not enough. Tell us why.
Good morning. Thank you. Well, it's not enough because already the NPA is not managing. There are vacant posts. They're under-resourced both financially and with regards to human resources. The case backlog is growing every single day. They don't have the resources to deal with the ordinary run-of-the-mill cases. So their budget is not sufficient for that. Now we have the deluge of cases that are going to come from Zondo and state capture. And bear in mind that other criminality doesn't stop. So it also increases exponentially because there are no consequences for bad behavior. And so their workload is going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're behind with regards to human resources, with regards to tools of trade, with regards to connectivity, with regards to access to technology, and the kind of money that it will need to play catch up on that scale. This amount is simply not enough. I freely acknowledge that the Justice Department can only, they have so much of a pie and they have to slice it up, and there isn't any more. I get that. But that doesn't mean that the money that the NPA is getting is going to be enough. It's not.
Yeah, we do know that the NPA's issues also stretch far beyond just the financial constraints they've had. I mean, Shamila Batoyi has spoken multiple times in Parliament about how there are structural, let's call them difficulties for now, within the NPA, such that no matter how much money you throw at them, if those things aren't addressed, the NPA will continue failing to work at its optimum.
Well, the NPA has not worked at its optimum for many years now. In fact, since the departure of Vusi Pikoli, the NPA has not worked at its optimum level because it's been the main target, of course, of state capture, and so following out of any kind of expertise. And that is difficult to replace. It doesn't take a university degree to make a prosecutor. You need 10 years to create a confident, competent, efficient prosecutor. You need 20 years to create a confident, competent specialist prosecutor. So these things don't happen overnight. It's a steep learning curve, and it's done at the coalface. So in court, where your mistakes are right there for everyone to see, it's not an easy job. It's a wonderful job, but not an easy job. And prosecutors are overstretched. Their desks are piled up with big, complex dockets, and they simply don't have access to the necessary support. The NPA does not have any access in-house to cyber forensic experts, for instance, to forensic accounting experts. All of that has to be brought in on an outsourced basis, and that is exorbitantly expensive. So the kind of money that we're talking about that the NPA has received pales into insignificance when you look at the kind of bill that they're going to rack up if they are to prosecute these cases effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. The money, you say, is not enough, but I guess it's also worth having a discussion about how the NPA spends the money it does receive. There was the establishment of a fusion center, which essentially was meant to focus on corruption cases. As far as you're concerned, do you know how much of the little the NPA receives it is spending on something like that?
Well, I think the NPA is using the money it receives. They have made some appointments and some high-level appointments, but again, high-level appointments are not the people who do the prosecution, so they don't go to court. They don't prepare cases. They don't advise the police. So high-level appointments are great, and those posts are filled, but that doesn't mean anything for day-to-day prosecutions. The vacancy rate amongst prosecutors is still unacceptably high, and certainly with regards to specialist prosecutors, it's very high. What they are forced to spend their money on is not necessarily what they would choose to spend their money on. They also have, of course, in their ranks a whole lot of people who were involved with state capture and are still busy trying to undermine this project of renewing the NPA. And until those people have been gotten rid of, this project will struggle.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I was getting at with asking that question, Glynnis. I mean, how do we know money isn't thrown to the NPA for it to just land up in the hands of people who are still there, but for all their nefarious ends? I mean, how much attention was that given during the budget vote?
Well, it's an issue that's given constant attention in the Portfolio Committee and in interactions with the National Director. She's also, of course, in the invidious position where you can't just fire people because of a suspicion. So, yeah. She has to work on it, gather evidence, put together a case, and that unfortunately also takes time, and that time takes away from time that could be spent on prosecution. So it's a sort of self-sustaining vicious circle.
Yeah. This year, the SIU, we're told, is marking its 25th anniversary. They're getting, I think it's about 452 million rand. Does that go far enough?
Well, the SIU is doing unbelievably good work.
Yeah.
And they've really excelled in the last couple of years. Very, very admirably. It's really a great pleasure to see. Budget-wise, they're under-resourced. The funding model is completely outmoded, outdated, and unsustainable. And so we find them in a position where much more than what they've received now is owed to them by various government departments for work done for which they have not been remunerated, because government departments just simply don't pay the SIU, which they're required to do. For instance, the Justice Department owes them 66 million. So if all of those funds are able to be collected, the SIU will be in a much stronger financial position. But if they're not paid, the SIU will also at some point begin to feel the pinch and not be effective. They'll be unable to be effective because they will not be able to employ the kind of expertise that they require to do this great job that they're doing now.
Yeah. When you say the funding model is outdated, what do you mean by that? Help us better understand where the gaps insofar as that is concerned are.
The SIU, of course, receives money from government and from the department,
right,
as a baseline amount of funding. But the funding model of the SIU is based also on the fact that when a proclamation is issued and they do work for a government department, so if they are called in, for instance, the investigation at the Master's Office, they do that investigation at the behest of the Department of Justice, and the time is charged out in billable hours to the department, for which they have not been paid.
The SIU.
So that becomes impossible. What they're using the new budget was to play catch up with the old budget because they haven't been paid.
Right, right. We also know the special tribunal in the SIU, if you like, is meant to be that unit that's meant to expedite the work of the SIU. I think the president recently appointing Judge Lebogang Modiba as the president of the special tribunal. Is that money well spent? I mean, you've already spoken quite highly about the reputation of the SIU so far.
It is money very well spent. The tribunal has dealt with many cases and continues to do good work. Retaining and crabbing back money that has been stolen. So, yes, the special tribunal is doing a good job and it's available for use. So, yes, it is money well spent and it's being effective. It's along with legal aid, the SIU is really the two most effective units within the stable of the Department of Justice.
Glynnis Breytenbach, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. We appreciate your reaction on the Justice Department's budget that was delivered in Parliament yesterday by Justice Minister Ronald Lamola. Glynnis, of course, is a DA MP.